It's funny when you look at you were talking about these younger guys of the founding fathers. Have you ever read who was in Washington's first cabinet? I mean, it's the who's who. Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, John Jay. I mean, he had the intellectual icons. It was the who's who of the 1927 Yankees murderers row. I mean, it was the greatest ever assembled. And even then, you had a faction. Hamilton, he was a Federalist. He believed that we needed a strong federal government in order to keep this experiment alive and keep it going, that the states would argue with each other too much and it would be too fractured. Then you had a guy like Jefferson that was a Democrat at that point, not the Democrat like we have today, but it was called a Democrat at that time. And they believed in states' rights, and they wanted the states to have the not just the states' rights, but they wanted the states to lead this experiment. And so you had that argument. Now Washington was a Federalist. He believed and understood that we needed a strong federal government, specifically an army, and we needed to get the finances. Those are the big two things. We needed a strong economy, we needed a strong army. And I'm not going to disagree with that. But there was that tension. But here's the interesting thing about it. None of these guys, none of them at the time considered themselves lifelong politicians.
Is that true?
They really didn't. And that is I'm not going to say a newer phenomenon, because you had a guy like John Quincy Adams. He was the ambassador to Russia when he was 14, probably one of the smartest presidents in terms of raw intellect we've ever had.
Come on.
Complete pompous ass. Oh, absolutely. People hated his guts.
John Quincy Adams.
He was 14. Yeah, he
was ambassador to Russia when he was 14.
And could do it. Like
how old is the country at this point?
Let's see. He was the 6th president. He was at his. He was young.
Yeah, but more than like a year or two. Like that seems. I mean, good grief. Did we not have anyone?
Well, here's
older?
the thing. Well, but the thing is, he was qualified.
At 14 years of age.
Cat was smart. Dude was just crazy. Brilliant. He was brilliant. He was very brilliant. I think raw intellect, probably the smartest president we ever had in terms of just sheer brain power.
Really?
Probably John Quincy Adams. He was amazingly intelligent. And his dad was an intellectual giant, John Adams. But even those guys, John Adams was a lawyer. He gave up his fortune in order to do what he did. He was a pompous jerk, and he knew it. It's one of the reasons why he told Jefferson to write the Declaration of Independence. And he said, and Jefferson said, "Why me?" He goes, "Number one, you write better than I do, and number two, people like you. They don't like me." And Adams had a lot to input in the Declaration of Independence once it was already written, but it was 80-85% probably it was Jefferson. But these guys, they didn't see themselves. Washington, time and time again, and Washington, he knew his image. He understood branding better than anybody, but he really did just want to go back home. He saw himself as a gentleman farmer, and that's what he kept trying to get to.
It's more of a burden, right, to be a politician back then?
You're not. Are you kidding? Of course, it was a burden. Yeah, that's a great point. It was a burden to be a politician. I'm giving up whatever the commerce is that I do to become a politician. In other words, it was sacrificial to be a politician at that time. It's a great point. And that's not the way that it is now. You're being enriched. I mean, you look at how little money some of these congressmen have when they go in there and the level of wealth that they have when they go out. It's not commensurate to someone who made $185,000 a year, which is roughly what they make. It's like $174, something like that, and who just did well with their investments.
Ka-ching. Did you know that Paul Pelosi has performed better than Warren Buffett?
Oh, way better. Not just slightly. He's beat Warren Buffett in the ground on his returns. But it has nothing to do with the fact that his wife is connected in Washington. So
of course not.
So you say, well, okay, would term limits fix everything? No, but they would be definitely all right, so I'm going to get on my soapbox. I'm on a podcast for this. If it's okay, let me let it rip. All right.
Worst that'll happen is you're going to be late for that wedding.
Bonnie,
I hope it's not one of your kids getting married.
No. Bonnie says to me, she goes, "Are you going to get like arrested for saying some of this stuff?" I said, "I don't know. I guess when the revolution starts, they'll find this." All right.